Well, it's me again, and this is my podcast and my world, where I take you along on an adventure where we get to explore everything and anything that goes on in my mind. Oh boy, is it random, is it crazy, it's nuts, it's all over the place. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's have a good time. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. And if it's early for you, I hope you end up having a fantastic day. So this podcast is going to be a little bit different than normal. It's going to be a lot different than normal. The topic that I'm going to discuss today is something that I've been doing a lot of research on recently and debating if I was even going to make it part of my podcast series. And I decided that it is part of who I am, and it's something that's going on in my brain right now and thinking about and that kind of stuff. So I kind of want to bring it to the foreground and discuss it here on my podcast. Like always, the discussion down below is open for the comments, so please feel free to leave a comment. If this podcast makes you want to unsubscribe to my channel, just remember that we are all human and we are all going through different things and we all have different points of view, and that is something I'm going to share with you today. It's also extremely controversial, and it's something that I can see from the outside that bothers me. And today we're going to talk about human rights, and we're going to talk about men's rights and women's rights and the rights of every person that lives on this planet, anything that breathes, basically, all life. And I'm going to start it off with something that kind of bothers me a little bit, but you feel free to just skip this podcast and move on if this is something that doesn't strike you as something you want to listen to. I am a 37-year-old white male, and in our current society, I am frowned upon by even opening my mouth and saying anything. And if I do say something, usually I am dismissed. People listening to me usually roll their eyes, women in particular. I can say whatever I want, but usually nobody listens. I have constitutional rights, but usually when I talk about these, it ends up in a huge argument or a fight or whatever, and my point of view is never listened to. Starting off with equal rights. What are equal rights? See, men, in my opinion, all of this is my opinion, by the way. Let's make that very clear to start off with. All of this is my opinion before I get too in depth in this. Equal rights. Let's start with this. I don't understand how you can have equal rights when both men and women were not created equal to begin with. We were created to complement each other, in my opinion. Men have weaknesses, and women can compensate for it, and women have weaknesses, and men compensate for it. For instance, they say that women are the weaker sex. Well, what's really funny is that gets spun out of control. When they're talking about weakness with women and weaker sex, it can go two ways. But the way it originally was intended was women are not as physically strong as men. We're talking about muscle, body mass. We're just not. Women are designed to be not as physically strong. In evolution, if that's what you want to believe, or the history of women just didn't need to be masculinely, physically buff or strong. So when someone says women are the weaker sex, that's what they're talking about. They're not talking about women are mentally weaker. That's usually what ends up coming across the table. Equal rights. I strongly don't believe, I really don't believe that equal rights should be 50% everything. 50%, this is going to totally come out wrong. It's in the boardroom. I don't believe that companies should hire 50% of this and 50% of that no matter what. I'm sorry, I don't. I believe that it should be not, your gender should not be a factor on what job you have. It should be a factor on your qualifications, and solely on your qualifications, not the color of your skin if you get hired or not the color or the ethnicity, whatever, and not based on your gender. So if a woman is more qualified to be a contractor and run a business as a contractor than a man in a particular situation, then so be it. Or if a woman is more capable of being a nurse or a physician, based on the abilities that person has, that's the way it should be. Not based on, we have to fill our quota, so we're going to hire the woman this time around because we have to have 50% men, 50% women working in our company. I think that's just ridiculous, if you ask me. Okay, so equal rights. How do you know when they're equal? Where's the line? I think it's kind of gray, if you ask me, especially when men and women were created equal to begin with, in my opinion. I believe that they were designed to work together as a team and complement each other. I mean, it'll never be equal. Men cannot bear children in our current science and abilities to do things. How's that going to be equal? I do believe in raising not only your daughter, but your son. Tell them you can do anything that you put your mind to. Anything. The sky's the limit. Opportunities are everywhere if you're just willing to look. There's no reason to tell a girl specifically that she's just as good as a man. Well, of course she is. But if you tell her that, then she's going to get a stigmatism and think, I'm just as good as you are. Well, great, you are, yeah. But then what you're doing in that is you're telling the boy that he's not. You're actually telling him he's not as good as a girl, is what you're doing. You're doing just the opposite. And here's the thing that really gets me is genital mutilization of genitals in our country. Women's genitals are protected under federal law. Women cannot be circumcised they can, but no, it's against the law in the United States to circumcise a woman. But you can circumcise a man. You can literally mutilate a baby boy's penis. But by law, women are protected and their genitals are not able to be mutilated. Not able to be circumcised in this country. Now, here's my opinion. My opinion is neither males or females should have a circumcision. Because what ends up happening, and it's just this, I'm circumcised, so I think my son should be. Or a single mom just goes ahead and has her son circumcised because of this stigmatism or this lie or this whatever. Oh, it's healthier, it's cleaner, it's this, it's that. No, it's not. No, it's not. And actually what's going on is that's a very sensitive area. Just imagine going to a little girl and taking half of her clitoris off. Cut off half the clitoris. Because that's what you're doing when you circumcise a penis. In the womb, when the baby's body hasn't decided or hasn't become male or female yet. Actually, let me backtrack. All babies in the woman's body at one point in time are all female. We start off that way, and then the clitoris decides, okay, I got to be a boy, and it starts to grow and forms into a penis. Okay, that's why the woman's urethra is actually underneath the clitoris. If you look at a man's penis, the urethra is underneath. It's on the bottom of the penis. They are the same to start off with, and the male body just the way its nature is. It forms that little nub into that body part. But when you do that and you take the skin off of it, especially cutting in a circular manner around the end of the penis is what they do. They take the extra fourth skin off. They end up cutting nerve endings. So when a man, full-grown man, is with his significant other and he's having intercourse, he isn't feeling the full effect, if you will, of intercourse with his partner, as if he would have if he wasn't circumcised. You actually end up taking off those feelings, those nerves. The other thing is the shaft of the penis is purposely got extra skin on it. The reason it's got extra skin on it is because once it's inserted into whatever body part that person, because it could be male or female that you're having intercourse with, the skin itself is designed on the outside to stay in place, while the interior of the penis moves back and forth. But when you circumcise that person, now the outside skin and the inside part of it is all moving together as one. And the problem with that is, one, you have to rely on lubrication, and two, it ends up causing, in some men, not all men, but in some men, ends up causing rips and tears at the shaft of the penis because there's not enough skin to pull against the friction. It is mutilation, in my opinion. I think it is wrong. My mother did it to me. Oh, TMI. My mother did it to me because my father was mutilated. And it was the thing. And when I was a child, back in 1980, all children, boys, this was done to them. Right now in Africa, it is popular for women to have their lips removed, their outer lips removed, because they say it's quote-unquote cleaner. Well, actually, the science shows that it's not cleaner. It's actually more dangerous. There's a special bacteria that is both inside the head of the penis and inside the vagina that is like an antibacteria, if you will. It helps keep the bad stuff out, and it is actually very it takes care of itself. It does a very good job. Another thing that is really horrible that doctors are telling newborn parents of newborns, is that you need to pull the skin back and clean the head of the penis. Don't do it. Once the bacteria from underneath the head of the penis is gone, now that child is going to get nothing but yeast infections like crazy. The head of the penis is actually attached to that foreskin to keep it from going over. And for the head of the penis is not supposed to come out of a baby. It's actually designed to stay there. It's actually designed to stay there, just like a girl has a cap over her private parts. So when she has intercourse for the first time, she bleeds, and they consider that a cherry being popped. Well, males have the same thing. If you pull the head of the penis down too far, you end up actually disconnecting it from the head of the penis and ripping it off, and it actually will bleed just about the same. So don't pull the head of the penis on your newborn little boy or even your toddler. Just clean him, but you don't need to do that. That is just ridiculous. Nature takes care of itself. You don't pull your daughter's lips apart and give her a frickin' douche as a newborn. I mean, that's you spread them gently and you wipe, but you're not gonna stick something up inside her and wash her. That is just ridiculous. It is just horrible. So I am very much anti-circumcision. Wow, I spent a long time on that conversation, that part of the conversation. I hope I don't make this a two-parter. I don't want to make this a two-parter. There are other rights that women have over men that also frustrate me. The fact that women have the right. So let's say a husband and wife are divorced or getting divorced. The wife has a legal right to say, I don't want my children. And she is not legally responsible for taking care of them. So she has the right to dump her children on her husband, ex-husband, boyfriend, the legal father, let's put it that way, the father of the child. She has the right to dump the child on the father and not pay child support. It's not constitutional. I think it's, I don't know what the heck it is. It's not an amendment either. But she has the legal right to not have to pay child support, and all she has to do is say, I don't want the child, and that's the end of it. But a man, just the opposite. A man can't get his child unless there is something seriously mentally wrong with the wife, or the mother, or the mother gives up her rights. You have to fight like nobody's business to get your child. Also, even if you don't get your child, you are legally responsible for your child until your child is of the age of 18 years old. By law, it doesn't matter. So a man, no matter what, a man cannot turn over his rights as a parent like a woman can. A woman can just say, you know what? I don't want to be this child's parent anymore. Let the father take it, and that's it. And she doesn't have to pay child support. Doesn't have to do a damn thing. Some states, very few, I think, are a little different, where the state gets involved and the state can say, no, you are, but it's very rare. I have a fairly good friend of mine who has a severely autistic son, and he's not only autistic, but he has some major brain damage and the mother's in prison right now for brutally beating the child. Busted his skull open in a couple of places. She is not in prison for doing that. Instead, she's in prison for selling methamphetamines. As far as the damaging the child, she still has all of her legal rights to that child. Nobody's going to ever take them away. As a matter of fact, there's a thing in place here when she gets out of jail. Actually, I think it's at about 3 months. She ends up getting the kid back. The state reunifies the mother no matter what. Okay, I'll spare you with the rest. I hope you all have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.
This has been a Graham's World broadcast, brought to you directly from Graham's mind. So stay tuned because there's more to come.